Hey, what's up, guys? Get you guys turned up. Alright. How's everyone doing tonight? There's like no one in here.
Woo! There's like 20 people in here. They all have questions that need to be answered.
It's true. Although I suspect many of them are just here to listen to other people ask questions.
Yeah, I never liked those people when I went to office hours. But being on the opposite side of office hours now, I appreciate when people like sit around because there's a good chance that they all have the same question. And so if they sit and listen, I don't have to explain it to each person.
Yeah, that's
There's
nice.
been times where I've come for office hours and the professor goes over something that I was stuck on and like that was all I came for. And I'm like, you just answered my question, thank you.
You shouldn't come at office hours.
Well, I mean, what else am I going
Don't
to do?
tell our
I'm not in
audience
class.
that, they'll all leave. What did Trump say?
Don't worry about it, Jen.
Oh, I don't even know. Did he say something else? I tried to like make dinner and then I fucking burned it and now I had to make it again.
This is kind of in the same vein of what Dork just said. Popcorn Trader, you should not be forcing babies to go down. Especially after they got their vaccines.
For today's discussion, I muted Dork. Babies should determine if they want vaccines. I thought that was RFK's job.
I know some of you fuckers are confused with macro data. You should ask about that.
RFK's job is to replace sugar with sugar and a bunch of stuff.
Perfect.
All right, what are your Gammastrike questions? We need to tighten this ship up.
Well, I poked around a little bit, and like the macro overview page is still sort of a mystery to some people. So I tried to dispel it there, but I don't know if they have those questions, they should ask them.
How do I reach these kids?
I misinterpreted the rules.
Nobody has any questions.
There's no questions. You know what it is? There's been vol and everyone's just making a shitload of money and they don't want to...
They don't fuck with it?
Yeah. They don't want to change anything and they're worried if they know more, they're going to fuck up.
Nietzsche doesn't want to make more money. He's willing to ask a question.
Moped's apparently not making any money.
Stop liver? Jeez. Gherkin just DM'd us, but a lot of people were kind of interested, Jay Fresh, in what you and I were chatting about in DMs earlier this week about the IV smile, and I was kind of wondering if we could just kind of launch into that. If you could, give your little spiel and maybe use that chart that I DM'd you today, and I also sent it to Gherk if that's easier to share with the class.
Yeah, you can pop that chart in. Gherk, do you want? Oh,
I got it open. Hold on.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm basically just kind of like, for everyone else, I was asking Jay Fresh about how to read the IV smile on the live data. What to be looking for, and kind of when you see it change, what does that mean?
Boom. Let me make sure that's up on the stream too. Boom. Okay, cool.
All right. So, the dark blue line is the IV. And unfortunately, because this chart has so many things on it, although it looks like Gamma is broken. Or no, this was early enough in the day that it's probably a size, just an axis issue. But a problem of this graph is that there's so many things on there, you can't display all of the y-axes. So if you want to see what the actual IV value is, you would have to put your mouse over the actual dot, and then it should show up. So I have no idea what it was at that time, but typically you'll see a value of like well, depending on the time of day, because this is 0 DT, so it changes quite a lot. But you'll see something like 0.2 to 0.5, something like that. And obviously it goes up in either direction, which is basically saying what the IV is saying is it's a measure of uncertainty of the current price and where it will go within some time frame. So it's basically saying that for the 0 DTEs, if say the at the money IV is 0.4, for example, that basically assumes that they think that it will go 0.4, or it will move 4% over the course of a year. And so to extrapolate that to shorter times, it is you have to do square root of your anyway. That part's not important, but basically the idea is that at the money they say, okay, over the course of a theoretical year, we expect it to move 4%. Obviously, nothing moves 4% in a single day. And so, actually, no, this is 40%. If it was 0.4, it'd be 40%. So, but nothing's going to move that far in a given year. So IV, at least at the time that I'm looking at it, is probably quite elevated, right? So you can, every time you see these numbers, you think, okay, this is the expected move over a year. Because that's just, and that's just the way that they quote the IV. But it's important to understand what IV is physically. Okay, so obviously it's not going to move 40% in a year. So that alone, just looking at the IV at spot and thinking about just the statistics over time, like nothing moves 40% in a year. IV is elevated, which is not shocking, given the fact that the market's kind of going nuts and tariffs are causing havoc, and Europe is doing bond shit that's wrecking havoc with carry trades and all sorts of fun things. So Japan as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on. It's causing a lot of uncertainty, which is causing people who are generally on the other side of that trade, the short side of vol, having to reposition and are having to pay a premium to reposition because they were not prepared for it. So I've now talked about and thought about a lot of macroeconomics and how it is boiled down to this one single number, and that's simply at the money. So my point there is just try to say is that IV tells you so much about not only current positioning but previous positioning, and it tells you a lot about demand, and there's a ton of information there. So I'm always looking at the IV curve, and that's just at the money. So then you go out of the money and these things rise, and you think, okay, well, what does it mean to say that it rises? It says that, well, if we go some amount out of the money, if we move some distance away from spot, the probability that it will move more goes up. Okay. And so that's kind of like the black swan insurance kind of thing. If you move a lot, you're probably going to keep moving. And if you move a lot, you're going to move a lot more. And so the smile increasing as you move away from spot reflects that fact that as things get out of control, they tend to get more out of control. And market makers don't want to be caught on the wrong side of that, so they price things up to account for that. Okay, that pricing on that curve on the 0 DTEs is also largely determined by what people are willing to pay. The market maker will gladly sell you an option for whatever price you are willing to buy it at. And if you're getting squeezed, for example, you have to buy, and your margin called or whatever, you have to buy at market rate, right? And so if the market maker starts seeing a lot of buy pressure, they're going to let the price rise. Why wouldn't they? And so how that will happen, if you've read the docs, which I don't think most of you have, but that's fine. Price and IV are essentially the same thing. The price of an option is dictated by the probability that it's going to go in the money, which is dictated by the volatility of the option. The more volatile it is, the more likely that far out of the money options are going to go in, the more likely that those will pay, right? And so a higher IV means a higher price. And so if you look at changes in IV, it tells you it can tell you the demand for an option. Okay. And so in the case of the chart that's shown here, Nitu is pointing to, this red arrow is pointing to one specific point where there's kind of a jump. If you look at the curve, usually the curve's supposed to be pretty smooth, but obviously this is a discrete system. There's going to be some bumpiness in it. And he was pointing it to a specific point in time where there was a jump in price, or sorry, in IV at that point, which means that the price at that strike, 58.20, at that point was slightly elevated. Now, the theory was, oh, well, it's elevated because calls were bought. It could also be elevated because puts are bought, although it's, probably a lot less likely. I don't know, Nitu. I don't remember what I wasn't able to watch the market today, but I think it did not play out. If your thesis was bulls are buying calls, so we could go in that direction, that didn't play out, right?
I didn't quite form a thesis. This, for context, I believe this was the last failure of the delta flip from the 5800 range that we were teasing kind of in the first half of the day.
Yeah, you kind of have to look. So the first thing that I'll say is that these little blips, especially if they don't last very long, yes, it could resemble some small amount of buy pressure, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's reached a threshold to actually matter in the long term, right? Somebody could have been buying a little bit for a short while, and the market maker's like, all right, if you're going to cross the spread, I'm going to up the spread a little bit while you're doing this. And then they stop, and then you go, and it was like, 10% of the total volume on the index at the time, so who cares, right?
If I remember, there were a bunch of short puts at the 58.20 strike that they were selling, and those started collapsing when we failed.
So they had to buy those puts. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was in the money puts being bought.
Yeah, so that would also raise IV, right? So the raising of IV doesn't necessarily tell you whether it's calls or puts. You might look at this chart and say, hey, there's so many more calls there. And so this is probably, call buying, but it could be put buying. It's hard to tell there. You need more information. But somebody was buying something there at that time. You can also look at the more broader trend of the graph. So if you look at the smile just broadly, so kind of squint, ignore the ripples, ignore the spikes and the troughs, and just kind of look at the smooth curve. You can see that and kind of mirror it around the dotted white line. You can see that the IV on the put side is definitely elevated relative to the IV on the call side. And so that is an indication that, hey, there's more demand for things down on the left arm, and the things that are down there are mostly puts. And so I think the bigger picture here of this story, if I'm just looking at this IV curve blind with no knowledge I know the market ended low today, but I know it also moved a lot, and I don't know when this picture was taken. But it would tell me that overall, there's more put demand than call demand. And especially like I would also be interested in the 5770 on this plot, right? Because it's a little bit elevated from this curve as well. So there was likely some buying happening there at the same time that there was some buying happening at 5820. But that is how I read the curve, and there's a lot of information baked in there about supply and demand, delineated by strike, which is really valuable. So
Yeah, and
cool.
I've been trying to all week to capture one of these blips, and this is the one that stayed, static long enough for me to get a good screenshot of it.
Yeah, I mean, what this blip means is that the market maker is temporarily raising the ask because they're seeing more buying pressure, most likely, right? I mean, the spreads can widen, market makers can widen spread if there's just more uncertainty on their own books and more risk on their own books, and their ability to hedge is diminished for whatever reason. But typically, that won't show up too much. That'll even out on the IV curve, but yeah, I mean, but yeah, that's the way to think about it. I would think about it. These little peaks that you were trying to isolate. Think about those as just like little tiny pockets of demand. It might not be enough to like rocket the market or like really drag the market in one direction, but it's just it gives you a little signal of like somebody needed to buy something up here at that time or wanted to buy something up at
But if you
that
look
time.
at like 45, 50, 55 demand, that's really significant.
Yeah, I mean the bigger picture on this chart is that the put side is much more in demand than the call side, and there's going to be little pockets within that of demand that show up, little blips that show up and go away as small orders come in and just drive the ask up while they're just buying.
See how like the 70 strike is slightly elevated and kind of makes the curve not so smooth?
Yeah, I
And then
pointed that out a
65,
second ago. Yeah,
yeah.
the 70. Yeah, so I would say
And then like
that's what I was
65 and
saying.
60 are pretty flat, but then you get out to like 55 and it starts moving up pretty aggressively.
Yeah. So
Which it will anyway, but that's a little more.
And you could also say like, so for example, the things that stick out to me, both 65 and 75 are slightly elevated. 65 and 70. 70 is much more so elevated than 65, right? Because you're supposed to get a smooth curve. And so there's that bump there. So there's a lot of demand down there. At the same time, there's some demand at 5820. And there is a small depression of demand at 58.15 and 58.25. And so if you look at that pocket there, yes, there's an increase there, but there's also a little bit of a decrease around it. And so it's hard to say that this is going to have like a net positive effect, because there's some negative effects going on there. And if you net them out, it's probably pretty close to zero. And then if you also look at 58.40, that's depressed as well. Either 58, it's hard to say on this chart, but either 58.40 is depressed or 58.45 is elevated. But yeah, that's the way that I kind of think about it. You can look at the kinks in the curve
I kind of drew like
deviations.
a line to help you guys see what he's talking about.
Yeah, I really probably need to maybe add a discussion about that in the documentation, about how to read IV and some of the features of an IV smile. So I think I will do that. I think that is the conclusion that I have from this.
Nice.
I've gabbed enough about this. I hope that was helpful to people. I hate talking for long periods of time I hate talking for long periods of time with no feedback. I'm constantly asking questions when I teach because I'm like, do you guys understand any of the shit I'm saying? I have no idea.
I can relate this week. I've been talking to business units within a tech company about risk, security risk, and
What's that? They're like, we're a monopoly. What's risk? What do you mean risk?
yeah, we're talking about impact and like, okay, guys, worst case scenario. And like, well, it's really not likely. I'm like, this is independent of probability. What's the worst case scenario? And just going around that circle of multiple times every day.
But
It's
that'll never happen. That's what they all say.
Says
Except-
CrowdStrike and Microsoft.
except the SREs. The SREs got it. They're my A students.
I don't even know what an SRE is. So
Dorks and SRE.
sound
Back-end engineers. Infrastructure.
Oh,
Yeah, those
so
guys.
you-
Those
Nick
freaks.
nerds.
Yeah.
would you say dorks?
Nice. That's
So
all
that-
I got. That's what I've been thinking and gooning about
Yeah,
all week.
that's a great
No.
question. Thanks for bringing that up. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. Sometimes we spend so much time looking at this data. We do try to. I don't want to say dumb it down, but we do try to distill it to like the key things. But yeah, sometimes it can be hard to remember what is.
To follow up on his question, Simo wanted to know, should the smile be a smooth curve? Thus, any broken tooth indicates an anomaly of sorts.
Yeah,
Yeah, basically an arbitrage-free environment.
yeah. I use the phrase higher order just to mean that like there's like a strong kink. So like it's a kink between like 3 data points instead of like a trend across 50 data points. I'd call that low order. So like these high order events is like this kink at one spot, one strike. Those are usually indicative of a very localized event
Kinky.
at that strike.
You've got a high-order kink.
I do.
Just one?
Yeah, I mean, that's just how I roll. You take one thing and you just go way too hard on it.
Classic obsessiveness.
Not a very superficial person. I like to go real deep.
I'm glad I don't have this on speaker.
Yeah, JFresh is an expert at subject penetration.
I'm a bit of an expert on penetration testing myself. All right, enough nerd talk. I'll step down and let someone else ask a question.
Yeah,
Later, me too.
It doesn't work when you say it.
Oh, this is fun. What's up, Becca?
I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the XPEX live chart. Today was quite a fun day. At those points where the delta and gamma lines flipped seemed to be the exact time that we got below, as I squint at the screen, DN for the month.
Yeah, roughly.
I thought that was really cool.
That's because our data's really good.
I mean, that seems like a great affirmation that you guys are on the right track.
Yeah.
At those exact moments where they cross is where shit could get really funny.
Well, so that's by nature of when we, look at the 0 DTE chain, what we should expect is some sort of a reflection of the longer term, like monthly chain, just in like an ultra short term fucked up package.
The panic button is being hit.
Well, I mean, it's just that the ultra short term hedging on those long term contracts is just, it's colossal. So we, it is really cool, right? But it doesn't necessarily like surprise me that would happen just based on what we see in terms of, how the market trades these fucking SPX options.
Well, that's all I wanted to.
Just so
think
you
on that.
know, at those points,
Yes.
like delta on the 0 DT was already massively negative.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think, like in general, this is just a point of the things that we try to do is, I mean, literally, this talk isn't gonna have anything to do with AI, but I will say to the point that we are doing something that AI wishes it could do, which was take a lot of data and using intuition and our understanding of the other human actors that are acting in the market. How can we take that large data set and distill it down into a smaller data set that is actionable?
Nice.
And I think we're being successful at that. And somebody please, those people need to
Hold
get
on, I'm
banned.
busy patting myself on the back.
Yeah, Maple just quoted me on the last
According to
Jensen
Maple,
talk.
we're busy doing something much more involved.
That's all I had, man. So thank you.
For sure, bud. It is cool. I think we're doing this pretty cool. Not
What's it
gonna lie.
called when delta flip and gamma flip places? Flip flop, flop flip, floppity flip.
They just call it one being underneath the other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tip touch has been the go-to.
Somebody asked this question last week, I think, and I still don't have an answer. I don't know that there's any signal there. I don't know.
I mean,
really, like it doesn't mean a ton to me when I really think about it. If the fact they're close together means something, like, or if they are really far apart, that would mean something else.
there's like a significance to the gamma at the strike, or like the delta at the strike there that it's testing, and that like a lot of like the negative delta is a little bit higher than like the negative gamma in that range.
Yeah, something like that.
It's like, yeah, I mean, I think it tells you more about like the strike in which it occurs. Like the 20 strike was really important today. There was a lot of interest there. And so I think it's telling you more about like the importance of the test of the 20 strike than it is like really anything else.
Yeah, I think you're right, Greg. That's probably a great way to think about that.
Because if you look at like the delta there, like it was end of day is weird, but
end of day the delta fucking dies.
Yeah, the delta was fairly high at 20, and then like what we kept doing is like pushing up into what was a very big resistance at 40, and then sliding back down into that 20 support like over and over and over because we just couldn't get over the positioning at 40 at all. And so basically we'd get there and everything would sell back off and people, like one person would take profits and the whole thing would dump.
Yeah, super neat.
Delta gamma inflection. Gooning, Goon Line 1 and Goon Line 2, as I like to refer to them. Goon flip. It's a Goon crossover. Which I guess would just be...
Reverse cowgirl?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What was the name of the ghost in Ghostbusters?
I don't know.
Slimer. Goonies never say die. Are any of you guys gonna ask questions? I'm gonna go check the YouTube and see if we have any questions. Okay, no, we don't. Someone asked what Trump said.
Wait, so okay, wait. Can I ask the audience a question?
Yeah.
Okay, audience, I have a question for you. Do you sufficiently understand the macro page? Options macro. Do you feel like you understand the data it is showing you?
No. Shit's bearish. I mean, he's not wrong.
Okay.
It looks like chaos theory maps. Read the docs. Still no. Kinda. Oh, I'm supposed to be reading. So yeah, there's your answer. We also got 2 people who want to hop on. Awesome.
There we go.
So yeah, why don't you and JFresh dive into the options macro page? I got it up here on my screen, and I am going to take my dish back to the kitchen.
Be safe.
That will be.
Yeah. So we should talk about the options macro page. JFresh, do you want to do it? I know you're a really good explaining person. I'm not the best, but I can do it. I'm going to count to 3. All right, I'll just do it. So, options macro, essentially what we've done is we've taken all of our data and aggregated it to try to take a look at, net positioning across all the stuff. The top 3 charts are sort of the ultimate culmination of that, in that we have fully aggregated, contract values. So that's like, okay, if there's, 10 OI at this, contract and it's trading for $5, right? Then that means that there's 5,000 OI value there. And we just add them all up and get these lines out of it. And then we do the same thing for delta exposure. So that's also notional delta exposure in the market on the middle chart. Once again, just adding up all the delta exposure on all the chains and ending up with that. And then on the right, what we do is we take the delta and we divide it by the contract value to come up with a number called leverage. So that's the top right chart. And so the top right chart tells you, okay, if I spend this many dollars, how much delta am I going to get? So if you spend $1, or I don't even know the exact conversion. If you spend X amount of dollars, you'll get Y amount of delta. That's what the leverage tells you. Just in aggregate in general. Okay. So really it kind of tells you, essentially where our options, which options are sort of underpriced versus overpriced relative to their counterparts. Then down below that, we have the moneyness macro. Kind of interesting name. But the moneyness macro is where we actually figure out, if everything in the market went up by, this percentage point, right, in aggregate, how much would the amount of calls be worth, or how much would all the puts be worth? How much would everything be worth, right? How much delta would there be in this market? And how much leverage would there be on the contracts themselves? So that's what those tell you, and they're a little more abstract than the top charts. The top charts are just your snapshot. Here it is. This is the value. The middle charts are more of a way to gauge relative, positioning, like relative changes in positioning, should the market head one way or another. So if we look at the put leverage chart, Gherk's got an old chart up, it looks like, unless that's the new one. I got to refresh it. Oh yeah, I'm behind a day. There we go. So if you look at the put leverage chart, you'll see that any lower and put leverage starts to drop off, any higher put leverage starts to pick back up. Just relative to the white dotted line, which is at moneyness of 1.
Which is at the money spot.
Exactly. It's like aggregate spot, essentially. If the market has a nice little risk on day, you'd end up with put leverage picking up. If you have another risk off day, you're going to have put leverage dropping, and it looks like dropping more significantly than it would rise in an opposite direction, like an equally opposite direction. So that's what these curves kind of help you do, is see, okay, what are values going to do with these contracts, in this sort of event. A lot of these tails are pretty, they're not really super important, but right around spot, you can glean some decent information from them. And then the bottom three charts. Wait, okay, which call, which put, which net. So pink is net, green is calls, and orange is puts.
Yep.
I guess that's more of a violet, but and a peach and a aqua. Yeah, same as delta charts. Cyan, yeah, something like that. So that's the top 6 charts. They're sort of like the bread and butter of this, but below that, we also add up all of the delta by days to expiry, and so you can kind of see.
Did you cover like the OA contract value, like the bottom? The bottom. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just covering those curves. And then all that's left is just the bottom charts, which are more of they're like kind of like a scanner in a way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of scan on it, and more just the macro stuff on the delta by days to expiry. That's really cool because that just shows you, okay, in all the contracts we track, where is the delta mostly concentrated?
Yep.
And then delta by market cap, that's just, you could see which stocks and ETFs are most leveraged by their market cap in terms of delta exposure. So XRT obviously is a piece of crap, but IWM is also interesting, right? KRE is also interesting. Oh shit, those three are actually really interesting.
Well, maybe more the fact that it is those three.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And then SQQQ and silver.
Yeah, right.
I feel like that says a lot
right?
about the current macro conditions.
It really does. And then on the far right, you just have straight up delta exposure by calls and puts. So that one's super straightforward. The one next to it just delta as a percent of the market cap, and then the other one is they're all interesting in their own right. But that's the macro page in a nutshell. I don't know if that did better than the docs, but I hope it did in terms of kind of being more explicative. If it didn't help, just say so. And then Jay Fresh can make fun of me later for being a terrible public speaker.
We got Plato coming up. No, that was good. I think that was a good synopsis.
I hope it helped demystify the macro page. How it affects your trading may not be as apparent like immediately as how it affects your sort of outlook, your long-term outlook for positioning.
Play-Doh, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing all right.
All right, so I haven't gone through all the documentation. I've skimmed it, and I'm actually doing a deeper dive now. So y'all it may be in the documentation, my question. So I apologize if it is.
All good.
But on the live data chart, y'all put call premium and put premium at the top for the day.
Yep.
What do you specifically use that for, and how is that priced? Like, is that just the price of the call?
It's the total amount of premium traded.
So is it constantly updating as the price of that option spikes as well?
Yeah. No. The price it trades at. Yeah.
So
when the trade goes when it's traded, then that premium is added to that total.
And then as those options are closed out, you deduct it from that total as well.
No.
You can't assume bought sold.
Yeah.
It's a cumulative counter. Like how many dollars of puts have been traded, how many dollars of calls have been traded.
Okay, so it's just absolute value of puts and calls for the day.
That's correct.
Yep, just cumulative measure, yeah.
Something useful you could do with it is, get the ratio.
So I've been tracking that the last week just to see. Typically, it's heavier puts, absolute value than puts, than it's calls.
Which is bearish.
There was, I forget one day, but there was one heavy day, and I think it was a positive day. It was surprisingly very heavy on calls at open. way more than puts, and I think that's only happened once within the last week or so.
Yeah, that sounds
But I
about
wasn't sure how that. I couldn't determine if it was just absolute value or not, though.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and then I kind of want to talk about that IV line and smile a little bit more.
Yeah.
So today there was a time where it looked, and it was kind of closer to the end of the day. It was more kind of like a half smile, right?
Yeah, it's called a
So if you're
smirk.
saying, yeah, it was a smirk. So what other data would you look at to, so you know that demand beneath spot is subdued underneath the current action, right? So there's nothing being bought down or sold down there,
Yeah.
and not a lot of activity, but everything's happening above it. So generally, you could. So what other data points are you going to look at? So if you know all the activity is happening above it, I mean, I would generally lean and say that's bullish.
Yeah,
But if it's sold calls, it wouldn't be bullish.
that's actually
If all the activity.
that smirk that formed in the last like hour was actually the reason I kept telling everybody like I don't think we're going down to 5,700. Because yeah, there was just nothing going on the chain below like 5,720. And then even above spot, there wasn't much beyond like 40. Like, so all of the options interested are already just really concentrated down to like the like 20 to 40 range into the end of the day across those, 6 strikes. I guess it was like 7 because there was some shit going on at the 45, but yeah, I mean, I'd probably be looking at like Delta and, is there any like any more gamma picking up out of the money, especially towards the end of the day when like moves in gamma below spot are going to be really noticeable. Like if you see like gamma flooding in at like say we tested 20 and all of a sudden like you see gamma at like the 20, or I'm sorry, gamma at like the 15 and the 10 strikes start to spike really fast. That can be like an indication that some of that out of the money interest is picking up also. And like it would also be, the volume that on that would be like confirmation alongside the activity that you would see in the IV curve.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I would go and look. I would go and look out here. I would be looking at like speed and gamma, probably the most into the end of the day. Charm's kind of relevant there because charm wasn't today, but in other situations, like charm can like act as a catalyst to continue down into those dead zones or up into what are, kind of like inactive zones of options activity. So if you have like a really big pile of charm, like under spot, or right above spot, that can act to push end of day price directionally, depending on kind of how it's skewed. And then, speed's a big factor if you cross the strikes. So if the strikes go in the money, speed can kind of accelerate with the downward move in price or upward, either way. But yeah, generally I'm looking at like gamma and delta. If there's no delta to the downside and there's no gamma picking up out of the money and IV is kind of just falling off down there, it's usually like no one's interested in trying to play that direction. And I mean, that's kind of where we ended up. It's like no one really wanted to play anything south of 5720. And then there was only a little bit of interest above spot, which we chopped in for the last hour of the day.
That logic's a little bit dictated by the volatility right now, right? So if there was a lower volatility environment, people would, if they were trying to push it,
you would notice it a
kind of be
lot
a
more.
flip.
You would notice it a lot more than you do now. Like it becomes like when VIX, when spot IV is like 10 or 11 and someone's trying to move the end of day, like one direction or the other, you'll really see all of those metrics move quite a lot. But vol's so high right now that everyone's just selling all of that into the end of the day and trying to push it down. And the volume on those people selling out of the money is so high that it kind of just like crushes the vol outside of spot. And they become like really non-reactive.
Okay.
Because I
Alright,
think like
well,
if you looked at the end of day today, like $10, $15 out of the money, there was still like $2 premium with like 5 minutes left.
Yeah, they were incredibly expensive.
Yeah, so everyone wants to sell as many of those as the market maker will buy, generally.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for popping
Totally.
up. Got Invictus. Hello?
Invictus. Is he saying stuff?
He just unmuted, so maybe he's just trying to get his mic working.
Been there. All right, he's having testicle difficulties.
All right, well, until he pops on, we got a question from Max Spires. Sorry, I don't have a microphone. If your sole purpose in life is to make 5K a day trading SPX 0DTs, what would your daily task list look like? Using GS pre-market, using live data, etc. What would your main focus point be? High confidence over leveraged moves. I mean, if you want to make 5K a day, you're talking about like quite a lot of money to just be trading 0DTs. Like you probably wouldn't want to be making you probably shouldn't be expecting to make that kind of money unless you have like $100,000 to $150,000 account that you're trading with, because you'd have to be pretty over levered on, you know, everything to hit 5K most days, right? Like over the average of time, like not right now when VIX is at 25 and, you know, $1,000 contracts are going to $10,000 intraday like multiple times. But in a normal environment like VIX 16 or lower, you're gonna have a tough time making that kind of money unless you're trading like 10 or 20 contracts at a clip. And if you're going to do that, you're going to want to pick very, very high confidence moves. So, you know, you can't trade chop. You can only trade like breakouts. You're looking for big shifts in gamma and delta that are going to perpetuate a continuation. And you need to be really, really, really selective in the trades you take. For like what I would use on GS, I mean, yeah, I would be looking at major support and resistance levels pretty actively. I would be looking at the MM's expected moves. I'd probably be marking those expected moves on my chart every day, and then like tracking where spot was in relation to what the market maker had priced in the prior day. I'm going to be, you know, probably not trading anything between major strikes, and only trading like breakouts and breakdowns of major strikes. So none of that like, oh, I think we can bounce from like 5,800 to 5,815 shit. Like full breakout 5,800 that's gonna push up to like 5,825 that's like the kind of trade you want to take if you intend to make that kind of money every day. Is going to be hard because you're not going to get those trades every day.
Follow-up question to that: are you buying at the money, out of the money?
Me? If I'm levering up that much, I'm probably buying at the money or in the money, and then I'm probably also not buying 0DTs. Like if I'm gonna buy like 20 contracts of SPX on like a serious trade that isn't some like end of day bullshit where I'm, they're like 5 cents or something. I'm probably gonna be buying like 1 or 2 strikes in the money. I'm probably gonna buy the 1 DTE. And then, I'm gonna have a fairly strict stop set on that, like probably 5 to 10%.
Okay, that makes sense. I got my microphone working. I had
Awesome.
a question for you about. Yeah, thank you for your patience. I had a question for you about the live data.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bottom right hand chart.
Mhm.
I've been watching this thing like pretty religiously over the past, call it, couple of weeks since I got access to it. And every once in a while, the GEX line will more or less mimic the IV line, and it's usually above the strike volume. And I'm curious what that means. What does that indicate?
So, don't think about the GEX relative to the strike volume, especially as you get into the end of the day, because it's always gonna, like, gamma's gonna expand. So it's always like that yellow line is just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, relative to wherever spot is. Whereas, like, the volume is being aggregated out over the course of the entire day, and so as volume gets bigger, the bar chart will actually get flatter, because of how it's scaled. Um, but I mean, the reason you're seeing gamma kind of mimic the IV curve is because gamma is also a representation of demand at that strike on 0 DTEs. Right, and then the volume of that gamma is persisted on the bar chart. So, kind of like JFresh was saying, you're seeing like IV pop on a strike or a couple strikes, and you're seeing that those strikes are like put volume heavy or call volume heavy. That might give you an indication of the type of positioning. Like that volume could be used to give you some indication of the type of positioning that's being traded at that high demand strike. Like if you look at like the 5700 strike here, there's basically no calls. So if you were seeing, like end of day, you see vol dropped on that strike, right? It's beneath the curve a little. So that's probably people like probably selling puts there, right? Like put volume, like nobody would be doing anything else at that strike. And given that it's end of day, it's probably just people like trying to close their calls out for 5 cents or their puts out for 5 cents or something. But it's a really obvious one, and you have to use kind of your own knowledge and intuition to build, what you think is happening. And we purposely do that because we want people to make their own analysis based on that data.
Okay, so if I'm following the chart correctly, and so I listened to you explain it on, I think it was a couple of roundtables ago, so I just want to review it real fast.
Yeah.
So the GEX line below the midpoint, it trends down easier, and above the midpoint trends up easier. And then when you get to the valleys and the peaks, that's there's more volume at that strike, and so it's more resistant. And then I can validate that with the chart to the left of that, which is the total OI.
Yeah, so the chart to the left of that is the GEX at each. That's the yellow line. This chart, the gray chart, is the yellow line that you're looking at here. And so we broke that out so you can view that separate from the volume.
Right, okay.
Because this will fluctuate, but the volume will only just aggregate, so it's only additive. It's an absolute value like the put call premium.
Okay, that makes sense. So based on what I said, am I utilizing the chart correctly, or is there a better way for me to read that when we're going through one of those moves like what we had today, right? Where we bounced early and then we slid for most of the day. I'm pretty sure the GEX was fairly negative through the majority of the day.
Yeah,
Or it was more or less flat negative. So am I using that roadmap correctly, or am I missing something there?
No, you are. So yeah, I mean, price is going to rejections are going to be harder, and price action is going to be more volatile anytime that we are in a negative gamma environment on the intraday. And then things are more stable, and price action is going to skew positively when we're in a positive gamma, positive delta environment on the day.
And
So
that's the pink and the blue lines on
yeah,
the daily.
yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes what you'll see down here is those will be like off, right? Like you'll see that the gamma flip is like actually a little bit higher than where the at each strike gamma is positive. So you might have like the strike before the gamma flip is positive, then the strike at the gamma flip is like very positive, and then so on, right? And that's just because, you know, the gamma flip is supposed to be that 0 point. And so, you know, sometimes you'll have a little positive edge on one side of that. And that's, you know, just kind of, usually it's like much lower. And so the 0 point is just a bit higher, actually higher than where the first strike goes positive. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, you've got it pretty much right. Like, you know, when we fall into those bigger pockets, like if you look at 5750 here, or you look at 5725, those tend to be like in a negative gamma environment, you tend to like slip into those and then sit there because it's hard to push up to get out. Because you got to climb over like a bunch of negative delta to the or negative gamma to the upside to get out of it. But it's also hard to fall because gamma goes up on the downside too.
Right, yeah, they
And,
almost pin it in those areas.
yeah, and so you get really like pinned there. And sometimes, you know, in a lower volatility environment than what we have right now, I mean, end of day was like Trump's shit. But like there's a very real chance that our end of day could have just like ground down and then just stalled out at 25 and just not done anything for the rest of the day. Had it not been for Trump, we wouldn't have never gotten all of that price action at the end of the day.
Okay. Last question, then I'll cede the mic here. So if you'll zoom into it looks like 5770, 5775 there on the right-hand side of the lower right-hand chart.
Yep.
Okay, so that's above the strike price current, or above the current strike price. And the GEX is negative into a higher strike price. So does that mean that it would be more resistive for the chart to be the index to be able to get there?
Yeah, so it was really easy for price to get up to like 50, 55. But then it starts to become a lot harder to push above 55 because the gamma gets more and more negative the higher you get. And so, you know, that's why I kept like saying like, oh, you know, we need to get above like 63 at the time. Because we need to like fall onto that curve to start pushing out. And then, you know, then this was going to also be like major resistance to a continuation to the upside. But then, you know, if you got past like 75, 77, 50, right? Then gamma starts to move like actually more positive.
And then that would most likely change as we got there due to repositioning, and they might flatten
Yeah.
that GEX.
Yeah,
Okay,
because remember, at each of these strikes where gamma is negative into the end of the day, as gamma approaches or spot approaches that strike, that gamma is going to become more negative. So basically, you know, in this situation, very close to the end of the day, every strike becomes like this as spot settles at it.
That makes sense. Okay. And is that true even in the event of like, you know, the first hour of the day is heavy retail and the last hour of the day is heavy institutional trading? Does that still hold true? It's just
I don't think
sort of
that's true at
magnified?
all. I think you have
Oh.
heavy institutional trading throughout the entirety of the day.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think retail really has any impact on SPX at all. The amount of money that's flying around on it at any given time is just orders of magnitude higher than what retail trades.
Yeah, we can all aspire one day.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time and the good information. I hope you have a great evening.
You too, man. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Those are some good questions.
Also, I would just
Yeah.
like to, sorry, I'm back. I had a poop emergency, but I would just like to say that I love Invictus's profile pic.
Yeah. Well,
Simo wants to know what caused the massive down spike in Delta Flip. We're not going to tell you. I mean, it's meaningless.
A poop
Yep.
emergency.
Yeah, it was
Yep.
a poop. It was a poop emergency. It had to go get something real fast.
Yep.
Smoking Apes, how you know he's a GME OG. Somebody else had their hand up, but now it's gone. I think it was Slot Machine. Was it you, Slot Machine? Yeah, get your fucking hand back up.
We call that a squamsk.
Squamsk is just delightful.
I had to
Really
put my hand
is.
down because I've been just eating Nutella and I did not want to get picked on while I wasn't by my phone.
Nice.
I love Nutella. It's
Isn't that a major food group? Just Nutella by itself?
Yeah.
Have
just
you
a
ever-
big
have you ever
globs
been
of
to-
palm oil?
have you ever been to Europe?
Yeah, I lived there for a little bit.
You know how there's like, well, I'll tell. Dork is a poor who's never left the state of Nevada, but so you know how we have like the peanut butter aisle here? In
Yeah,
Europe,
yeah.
their peanut butter aisle is the Nutella aisle, and peanut butter's in the international section.
No, I never realized that.
That's because peanuts are like an American thing.
I was in heaven, man. A whole aisle of Nutella. It was delicious. You get a like a fresh hot baguette and a jar of Nutella.
So good.
You got food for the whole day. It's like €7.
Nothing else you need.
God, sounds
All
like
right.
a diarrhea nightmare.
It is. But it feels so good going in.
It's a colon cleanser.
That's how Jimmy Carter became president. Oh, peanuts. Yeah.
I thought Nutella diarrhea.
I thought you were talking about diarrhea. I was like, wait a second.
All right. So my question was with the options macro.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind just pulling that up?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Thank you.
Woo, macro question.
So
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
could
it's gonna be
actually
pretty.
answer it.
Dork's got like a big boner for this tonight, so I'm gonna let him answer it.
No, I'm gonna answer it.
Okay.
It's gonna
You're
be
not going to answer it
pretty,
either?
easy, I think. So just when we were talking about like the moneyness and the leverage when we're looking at the options macro. So like you were talking about earlier how like if the moneyness was to increase, would you be able to expect at the end of the day, like if there was like a risk on day and the moneyness was to increase and the put buying was to, or the moneyness was to increase, would you expect skew to also potentially increase at the end of the day?
You've never looked up the word moneyness before, have you?
Say this question again. I promise I won't belittle you. I want to.
No, go ahead.
No, just ask the question again. Maybe slower.
So when the moneyness of like put say is increasing, would you expect skew to rise
Okay.
or to drop because of put buying or that's where I'm getting
Okay.
confused.
Yeah. Okay. So So the confusion then is in the definition of moneyness. Moneyness is really just another way to display price. Or strike. It's just strike normalized to the current price. So anything above one is over the price, the spot price, and anything below one is below.
It's
And
literally
it's in
just
percentages.
bips. Yeah,
No,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just
It
pips. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
pips.
pips.
So like if you're looking at like the
Um,
next bar of moneyness, it's 80 points to the upside or 80 bips. right? Because it goes from point
Okay.
oh 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 like
Yeah.
1.000
Okay,
to
but
1.008. That's 80
but
bips.
but I think this is a good thing to. So the reason that we do it in terms of moneyness is because we're lumping in every single stock on the market, every single stock's options chain on the market in this chart. And so obviously, like every stock has a dramatically different price. Some are priced at, shit prices like Fubo, and others are priced at really good prices like Nvidia or Apple or whatever, right? Or CMT or
Palantir.
yeah. You get the idea. I'm just trying to make people
Yep.
upset. Um, so how do you put those things on the same chart with the same axis? Well, you do it relative. If you do it relative to its spot price, then if so, what this chart is saying is that if everything in the market goes up by some percentage or goes down by some percentage, this is how leverage will change over time. Okay.
Oh, okay. I see where I was confusing myself.
Yeah. So if you look at this moneyness chart, what it's telling you is that where's all the delta in the entire market relative to current prices? Now, obviously, not everything is going to move together, right? That would imply everything has a beta of exactly 1. But it gives you a decent sense, especially in times like now when everything's just kind of moving with the indices. Yeah, so the other, I actually, people want to rewind? Did I go too fast?
You're good. Just keep going.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good.
Oh, I was just sitting in the chat. People are like blown away. I don't know what I said.
Don't stop now, Jay Fresh. We're almost there.
I'm so tired. I just need to rest. I need to rest my ham hocks. My ham hocks are cramping up.
It's all the leg day you've been doing.
Well, yeah, I've actually been putting in some leg days and putting some shit together in the machine shop.
Twisting some cranks.
Literally, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I was actually, I think the other night I was like, oh well, if the index goes below, I think it was like 50. What was it, 50? I don't even know where we're at. I haven't had a lot of time this week to just sit and watch the market. Yeah, so if it went below like 57.25, like it probably isn't going to go below there. And then I said, if it goes, the bulls really need it to end over, I don't know what I said, it was like 59.30 or something like that. I was looking at this leverage chart. This leverage is a function of moneyness. So that's the chart, the second one down on the bottom right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at the put leverage, the salmon color. And when we go over that little hump, that's a little bit above us right now. That basically tells us in aggregate over the entire market, sold puts are underwater.
Okay.
And so what that's telling me is that if we somehow get to OPEX where we are right now, there's a good chance we crash because people are about to lose a fuckload of money. But if they push it back up over the top of that peak, get it to the other side, then they live to die another day. They might even make a little money, which is what they've been doing for the last 2 years successfully. Every time we got into a crisis and things went down, they were able to push it back up out of their risk. Right? And so that's what I'm looking for right now on this chart. This tells me right now, sold puts are big fuck. And so we know we know at some point they are going to try to pump the shit out of this. We don't know when, but there will be a pumpy at some point, another one, right? I mean, it's probably a little bit, it seems like a little bit every day. They don't seem to be super successful, but they try, right? They want to get it back up over, somewhat over 5,900. They want to get over that peak. if they don't do that and all this shit starts expiring while it's in the money, they're screwed.
Yeah,
Once
they're
they're
assignment
screwed,
risk rockets.
once
Yeah.
they're screwed, like your raft underneath the market starts to decay. And you start sinking.
Yeah. You can also tell that, sold puts are big fuck, because if you look at the OI delta value and the OI contract value, right? If you just imagine someone sold a put on every stock in the entire market, right, at any point before what is that, March, then they're probably underwater.
Yeah, things don't look great for sold puts right now.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
gonna
Okay,
hold
so
on.
Nietzsche. Okay,
Oh.
sorry.
No, go ahead. What is it?
Nietzsche just asked the question, where's the line in the sand? Right now, it looks like it's pretty flat on that peak, but I would say the line in the sand is probably about 4% above us.
Yeah, like 3 to 4% above us is what I
Yeah,
would say too.
so they've got some work to do.
Yeah, to get all that shit out from underwater, and also they don't get a lot out from underwater on the way up. It's not like it's not great for them.
Yeah.
Like they really
Like,
need a big move to the upside.
Like they can get some they can get a foothold if they get in like 2 to 2.5% back, but that last like 2% is gonna be hard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we've been seeing those violent upside moves too, is because we're seeing the put leverage just like rocket as the market like bounces upward. And when you see like those, like especially during, I think it was like 2023, we would have those days where we just like absolutely piss rocket, like everything is risk on, right? That's essentially what was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
if you
see,
look
like,
at,
if I look at the past, like, go back to, like, the bounce in August, you can see how much
you
put
can
leverage
also,
builds up under spot. And this is one of the other reasons we normalize to moneyness instead of price. Otherwise, this would be moving all over the place. But when
Yeah,
you
the
do it to
curves move.
moneyness, when you do it to moneyness, the curve, like, the center line stays in the same spot.
But actually, if you look at August, that August drop up on the top 3 charts, on the top two, the 2 top left charts, actually August got worse than like the peak or like the bottom of August was worse than where we are now.
But we're really close.
And we got their
We're
way
really
slower
close.
too.
But look, so one thing to look at in August, really, obviously there was a massive change in value between puts and calls as we dropped, but the total value on the market didn't really change. Like, that's a key.
Yeah.
The far left, the
there's
purple line on the far left.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there were some oscillations, but there wasn't like a huge change. So what that tells me is that yes, a lot of value is switching from calls to puts, but people aren't really closing out. Those contracts are all still there. We're just shifting the value from calls to puts of the contracts that are already there. The same exact thing is happening now. Nobody has capitulated yet. Like, all of the contract value that was there before we started dropping is still there now, which means,
and the net leverage is flat.
Right. The net leverage is flat and the delta is basically flat. And so what that's telling me is that short puts are fuck if they don't recover this. Because they haven't closed anything.
Yep.
So there's a lot of information in this data. You just have to kind of think a little bit about how to tease it out.
Yeah, I definitely gotta spend more time with this.
Also, in the vein of educating everybody, so originally Nutella was made as a paste in a log, and it was mostly just chocolate and hazelnuts, and it came as like a pate that you would get wrapped in foil. And that's how it was sold in Italy when it was first like invented. It didn't have all the palm oil and sugar and like trans fats and shit Nutella has in it now. So if you want to get close to what the original was, I recommend checking this out. Bone Maman, who makes like jams and jellies, makes a hazelnut spread that is palm oil free and actually has real hazelnuts in it.
Why is everybody so
Jeez, you're
fucked up
such a
about?
shill.
That
I'm
just
not
doesn't
even getting
sound
paid for
American.
this.
What is the deal about
Nutella's
palm
not
oil?
American. It's made by Ferrero.
Dude, you don't know the deal with palm oil? You should look up. You should look into palm oil, Jay Fresh. It'll make you really sad.
It's also just really bad for you. Like hydrogenated.
It's basically
Hydrogenated oils are bad for you anyway.
it's liquid human suffering on both ends, from source to mouth to long term effects. It's
Wait,
just
they
It's a butthole.
hydrogenate? They hydrogenate palm oil?
Yeah.
Oh shit! God damn it!
They partially hydrogenate it. Yeah, they don't fully hydrogenate it.
I stopped eating margarine a long, long time ago. My wife we call our family the Buttertons because they're all on the butter train, and I'm fully on board with that. I think margarine is a disgrace of humanity.
I just always use butter or
Yeah,
olive.
actually, excessive lime. Yeah, we have Irish butter in the house. We use the Irish butter. It's legit.
Oh, dude, Costco got rid of the fucking New Zealand butter.
I didn't know that existed.
No, it did, and it was amazing. And I don't think
What
they
do
sell it
they-
anymore.
Do they squeeze kangaroos? Where do they get this butter from?
The fuck? There's no kangaroos in New Zealand.
Oh, sorry,
It's the
sorry,
Shire.
sorry, kiwi birds.
Yeah.
They juice kiwi birds.
Yes. It's better than RFK going on about cockroach milk.
What?
Don't look it up.
It's probably not milk.
It's not. But it is produced by mother cockroaches.
Mm.
All right, slot machine. You good, man?
All right. Yeah, I'm good.
Saber
Thank you
over here.
guys so
Got
much.
attitude.
He's like, please stop.
I mean, I'm still gonna eat my Nutella tonight. I'll be a better person in the morning.
Here you go,
Yeah,
Jay Fresh.
You gotta finish the jar. It'd just be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, the bottle's
I
already.
don't care
gonna
about
end
the
up
environmental
in
impact.
Trash. The bottle's already going to end up in Trash Island in the Pacific Ocean when you're done with it, so you might as well enjoy the jar.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, guys. Take
Later,
care.
man. Have a good night.
I know you don't care about the environment, Gherk, but it's also human suffering, which I know you don't care about unless you can profit on it.
Yeah, you're telling me just the ways to
That's true.
leverage here. You're just telling me opportunities for leverage. I actually would like to. If one day, if I ever get the opportunity, I would love to clean up the trash island in the Pacific. That's just absurd. But I'd have to figure out what to do with all that shit first.
First thing we do is we shoot it all into the sun.
No, because that is ejecting carbon resources from Earth. We want to.
You're right. I
It's
guess
not
we have to
sustainable
recycle
either.
everything.
Yeah, we can't just.
It's gonna turn into oil eventually, right?
It's like, hey, let's slowly just shoot the Earth into the sun. That's sustainable, right?
We're gonna create the biggest like oil reserves ever in the history of the planet in like 600 million years. Because we're just concentrating all the oil onto the surface right now. It's gonna be crazy. Drill, baby, drill, 600 mil.
That's the problem is we're taking all the oil out of the ground, but then we're like making really long hydrocarbons out of it, so it can't return. It just stays forever.
You give it 600 million years, it'll be oil again.
The problem is I can get rid of it. The problem is that it's going to be a lot of CO2.
What the fuck is BJ?
People don't really want that. That is, I'll tell you when you're older.
Yeah, so when a boy and a girl really like each other, and they both just took a
How about that
shower, and everyone's
ticker?
smelling great.
After you went jogging? Oh my god, it's BJ's Wholesale Club.
Yeah, after you do a bunch of squats in a diaper.
What is happening right now?
BJ's Wholesale Club is rocketing.
I'm sorry, Jen.
I've been in a BJ's before.
Bet you have. I'm married as long as you have.
Yeah,
Oh,
I gotta go to the
sorry.
store for those now. Yeah, no, I can only get those in the store now. No, this is a liquor store.
It's just a liquor
Oh, no,
store?
so it's going up. Are we
Yeah,
profiting
it's
off
like
human suffering
it's like
again?
it's like a liquor depot. It's like a
Oh.
massive, yeah.
The BJ's
So are
by me
we
is like
are we longing,
Costco.
drowning our sorrows?
MW
I
says
love it.
BJ's is not just a liquor store. Now I think even more that it's just a liquor
Yeah,
store.
they sell cigars too
Oh.
and
It sounds like
wine.
he's talking
But
to his wife right now.
But it's an alcohol store. It's a store that sells alcohol, but it's like massive. It's like the size of a Costco.
They sell stuff like Costco. By me, anyways.
What?
Yeah, the BJ's by me is like a
Oh
Costco.
shoot! Now, I might be thinking
Also.
of Benny's.
Yeah, I mean it's a $14 billion company.
I thought
So they do
Costco was
stuff.
the Costco of the Northeast. Because there's like 2 Costco's in the city.
Yeah, it's like Sam's Club is what it looks like for
Oh.
any of those fucking things.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Benny's. Benny's Beverage Depot.
Fucking companies missed 1 earnings since they went public.
Yeah, BJ's is a Costco by us.
Well, they're ripping you guys off.
Damn, look at Ben, guys. He's rocking the Gammastrike logo as his PFP.
Nice, Ben.
Damn.
Showing that
Gotta
support.
call that out.
That is
Fuck yeah.
copyright protected, sir.
And we are allowing you to have that as your PFP because it's fucking awesome.
Are we?
For now.
Can someone ban him forever?
We should sue him first, right? I think that's precious money we
Ooh,
could
yeah. Keep conversing. Keep using it.
get. He's calling the lawyer right now.
Let's get some good. We got to get some good discovery here.
You're gonna scare him off his PFP.
We're setting legal precedent here, guys.
We're not gonna sue you. Imitation is the best form of flattery.
Fair use.
Yeah, just have it upside down. Then it's parody, or just call it parody.
Yeah, just put. We need a watermark for our
just
logo.
FYI, if we were gonna sue you for damages, we'd have to try to prove damages, and you currently haven't done anything to us. So.
J-Fresh, you're getting too depth into the analysis of suing him over his PFP. Saber, what's up, man?
What's
Hey,
up,
Saber.
guys? It's always the same people asking questions, so I figured I'd keep the conversation going.
Appreciate it.
That's true of
yeah.
every class ever.
So on the live data, right?
Uh-huh.
The GEX, the yellow line GEX in the bottom right chart. During the beginning part of the day, the larger gamma spikes act like a hard support or resistance during the beginning part of the day, but throughout the day it gets weaker. What can we use to kind of like figure out if this is gonna break or like
They actually get stronger.
Well, I don't know about that because I feel like I'm confused because earlier today we were in a negative gamma environment, but the price just kept on trending up. I saw positioning below, below thinking it was like on the test of 57.40. It broke down to like 57.23 or something like that.
Are you talking about down here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it didn't break down like it. I thought it would keep breaking down, but it just price started trending back up. I guess position didn't come in, but
I mean, a lot of this was just Trump just saying shit for like an hour.
Yeah, I
So
fucking hate that guy. So that was not fun. That was definitely not fun. But it's like the spikes above. I would think they were more resistive because we're in a negative gamma environment, but we kept on trending up against them. So
well, we kept like pushing up into the 40,
yeah,
and then failing it. So like if you look, like we didn't really ever get very far above the 40 after that initial spike when he was like, I'm gonna repeal all the tariffs. Wait, I'm just kidding. Like if you look at the whole day though, and you look at the 40 strike, 45 strike, where all of that, where that big spike of gamma was, like we barely ever went above it. What we would do is we'd kind of like hit the spike and slide up a little bit, and then we'd fail to break above it, and then we'd fall back into it, and then the MM selling the downtick, right? So you pick up momentum on the rejection. And so all of these rejections pick up like a ton of momentum. Every one of them just keeps selling off until there's nothing else to sell off into. And then we would get support again. But that was like here at like 2025 where there's another spike.
Yeah, but that spike didn't seem like a strong enough spike for it to reject so hard. So I was thinking, like, is there any way to tell? Like, see how it's kind of offset from?
Well, this is the end of day print, so this isn't like what it looked like
it's not what it was.
Yeah, but like if you look over here, this is a much better like example, right? Like if you look at the gray, see like the 25, see how high it is. Like basically what we kept doing was this was also higher there and at 40 before close. Like everything closed out because we tested it a couple times, but these were both higher. And so basically what we kept doing is we would slide up, test this, get rejected,
resistance,
and then the MM would sell back off into this one, and it just kept cycling over and over. Because like people were buying the bottom at 20 and they were selling puts. And then we would push up and then they'd close everything and take profit. And so we just
scalp the gamma. You just keep buying the bounce off of the larger gamma spikes.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been really successful today.
The premium just wasn't there. It
wasn't.
First rejection, you'd have to sell it on the way up, which has been giving me issues trying to like wait for the breakout or whatever, because I thought we push into the positive gamma, but we just kept on rejecting just short of it at the 40 strike.
Yeah. The only test of like positive gamma that we got was the first one. So I mean, I probably would have just been I really would have been focused more on this over here.
What was that one? Which one was that one?
It was like the 40.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's like it's the epic pen's not aligned, so I'll just write 740. So like that was the big that and 50 were the two big strikes. And so what I would have done, is just like probably set a stop at 40, like every time we tested it. Or bought a put there and set a stop. Because getting up to this and crossing it was going to be very, very difficult.
Okay. And then on the
but had you bought every dip, you would have made a ton. I mean,
I didn't.
No.
Yeah, ruined it. But it's good to know and good to see. But I always try to buy on the lower negative gamma spike and try to hold through until we get that positive gamma strike resistance above. But it just didn't work out today or yesterday for the most part.
So I mean, that's why I've told people like the delta flip and gamma flip they're not like support and resistances. They're really telling you they can act as a catalyst if they are crossed, right? But in that instance, you would wait to go long until you were above it, which means you would have never had an entry all day, right?
Yeah.
And so, the fact that we never went anywhere near it was bearish in its own right. And the initial failure of it was really, really bearish. Like we failed, we bounced back, retested, and got rejected, and then just dumped straight down to from 57.80 to 57.20, that was by far like the most important move of the day, besides if you caught the bounce at open. And so, it did have some importance when price was trading around it today. But once you move away from it, and the further you move away from it, the more of a trend day you usually end up with. And a lot of people who trade reversals have a big problem trading trend days because they don't just sit in an option all day. It's something that's like a little easier to do on futures because it's like a stock, like you're going to hold it if you're deep in the money. But an option, like, you know, any little bounce, any little, you want to, like, because you have so much more leverage, you want to get out. Yeah. And so, I mean, debit spreads are a solution to that because you're not incentivized to close them early. Right. So, you know, if you'd opened like a debit spread on the loss of 57.80 earlier when we fell to the downside, say you opened one up here, right? You probably would have sat in that all fucking day. You know, go ahead.
My issue with that is trying to lock in the profits because I don't have, like, my DGen port is not at the 25K minimum.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I always try to, I would definitely close them out before, but because I can't lock in the profits, I just have to close it out, and then, you know, I have the pattern day trader, so I can't.
Yeah.
I'd be out for the rest of the day, pretty much. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's, if you're using a margin account, that's just something you have to deal with, is that you can really only make like 3 trades a week. And sometimes you get an extra 1 or 2 because, like, you know, you go deep in the money and you don't have to worry about closing it. But yeah, until you get over 25K, you're just slowed down a lot, which people find irritating, but in reality, it probably keeps you from over trading. Or you could do shit like I do, where I just like box it off and then like keep selling more and more and more and more spreads.
Yeah, like today was crazy. Your option strat was crazy.
It was. I mean, I thought it was really well designed for what I wanted. It didn't work out. Unfortunately, we like slipped the 40 level right before close. But had we closed at the 50 strike, it would have been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And basically what it was just like a double butterfly, and then we lost, it was a double and that became a triple later. But like basically it was just like, I figured we were going to either be at like the 5750 range or the 5800 range. And so, you know, I was really just targeting those two. But then as we slipped further into the day, I started to like hedge off the potential for like a 5700 close because we were getting so close to it, and then ultimately just didn't make money of it.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
But that is an option with debit spreads, is you can always sell the opposing spread and you'll lose a little bit of your profits doing that, but you effectively close the position by boxing it in.
Yeah, I got to read up on that. I have the book. I haven't gotten that chapter yet.
I don't even know if they cover that.
I don't think they do. They just talk about long strategies, not really hedging any of your already bought strategies. And it's hard to model on option strat.
Oh, on option strat, you literally just sell the opposing contract. So if you have like a call debit spread open, you can like sell the in the money put spread, and it'll close out. It effectively closes. It creates what's called a box spread. And that, like, because you're at the same exact strikes, it just closes the spread you've got. Essentially, you lose a little bit of premium.
But yeah, it locks it in though.
Yeah.
So you
because everything cash settles.
Spread,
huh?
You say you have the put debit spread and you sell.
Yeah. So like, here, I can just show you. I got it right here. So. Oh wait, no, that's an old one. Where the fuck is option strat? There it is. So you have a bear call, right? And you're, you know, in the money. Let's say this was like, well, not that price. Actually, can I just do it? Yeah, I think I can just do it this way. So you would sell the put, like say you go down to like 56.75. You sell the put spread, right? And then the put spread will be like almost $10. Or like there it is. Or $20. Right? And so you create a box on your debit spread. And so if you're trading down here, basically these, like, the credit from this is your profit. And then if price bounces, you just get the cash settlement, right? So you'll so your debits, like if price bounces all the way back up, your debit spread will be worthless, but your put spread will be worth the full credit you received.
Yeah, got it. The scaling on the live chart for Gamma is kind of off. It always looks flat.
Yeah,
except for
yeah.
really
You
certain
gotta
parts of the day.
until we get a new chart implemented for that, you just gotta kind of mouse over each strike and check out if it's positive or negative. You can refresh it and it'll rescale. Like every time you refresh it, it'll like try to rescale to 0. But we have so many y-axes on the chart that it fucks up the line charts. Like the bar chart's fine, it's at 0. But the two floating charts get fucked up because of that.
Yeah, I was figuring that's what it was. I remember you guys talked about it.
We're gonna break some of that out too into like more components so you can look at them more easily.
The way it is now is kind of difficult because the bottom half of the chart, if you're trying to fit all three into one screen, doesn't really fit. You have to scroll down. Like,
oh yeah, yeah. Usually I just look at it like this, but yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, well, you guys are working on it, so
yeah,
just wait for it. But...
yeah, this is these should be smaller. It's like some stuff we're gonna try to fix with scaling and stuff, but these should be like about that size. So it should all like fit onto one screen. But we had to make some like changes to this chart. And so to do the changes we needed to do, we had to use like an old chart that we had already built, and it's a little buggy. But we'll get it fixed. We've got plans, so
big plans.
so many plans.
Right, well,
thank you, Saber.
Thanks, Saber, man. I hope that helped.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. Give somebody else a chance to talk.
Yep.
Ben has a question.
Put spread open yesterday that I closed today when we hit 20. That was 15 wide. I rolled a call spread that was for tomorrow for out another 4 to 5 days. It was 10 wide because the premiums were stupid. I was just wondering if there's something in GS that can help me pick what width I should choose. I mean, you can use like gamma and delta to help determine width, but I mean, width is just, I mean, you're just expanding risk the wider you open your spreads. So if you're really confident in a position, then you can go wider with the spread. If you're less confident in the position, you want to narrow it because you reduce your max loss. How long do you guys see this downslide? Well, continuing. We're in a pretty bad spot. I mean, the current electorate is actively like trying to engineer a recession.
Yeah,
so...
it seems like they're like, well, if the recession happens in the first 3 to 6 months, it's Biden's, not ours. So they're trying to get on with it.
Yeah, I mean, they were kind of they came into office in kind of an inevitable position anyway. So it kind of makes sense that, you know, advisors would have stepped forward and been like, listen, everything's fucked. This is the problem. And they were like, okay, well, let's accelerate that so it's not our fault.
Yeah, you remember when Trump was like, when he was still running, it was just like, we're gonna like disembowel every immigrant and spew their entrails out into space. And then like he wasn't even president yet, but he clearly got like a series of like briefings, and then he did a 180 and was like, we need to grow our population. We should find a way to bring in more immigrants.
Yeah, the other thing that
was
you know,
such
like
a big tell.
A big part of his campaign was Biden's going to cause the biggest market crash in history, but now he's been handed his own bag back. So he's in a bit of an awkward position. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of issues in the macro space.
I think that was such a big tell. It was like,
We have a big part of his campaign was Biden's going to cause the biggest market crash in history, but now he's been handed his own bag back. So he's in a bit of an awkward position. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of issues in the macro space. things are pretty problematic. I don't think broadly things are going to get better anytime soon. Right now, inflation is rising very quickly. Employment and growth are falling. We're still attempting to do YCC on the top end of our yield curve, which is,
And the
ensuring
back
that
end.
nobody wants to buy. Yeah, ensuring that nobody wants to buy our long-term debt at all. And that's, all of that combined is very problematic moving forward.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. But at least okay, so if we could try to even make a prediction, which is so hard to do because I mean we literally can't predict what Trump is gonna do from day to day. So but at least like structurally from a mechanics perspective, we've already kind of talked about how sold puts are fuck. And if this persists into March OPEX, which is in just a few weeks, then they're big fuck. So if we don't have a significant rally between now and then that is sustained into OPEX, it's gonna be a fun time, I think. But right now we're at a point where it's like do or die, and I don't know whether they're gonna do or die. So maybe long vol, but vol's already high. So like I'm not really sure. I don't know that there's actually a lot of low hanging fruit right here. The low hanging fruit was a week ago.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is definitely a little bit of do, a little bit of die. It's all been kind of happening. They really like that push at the end of the day, like at the end of last month was fucking ridiculous.
The cynic in me says the bad guys always win. The good die young. Only the good die young. They're in trouble. They have to bounce it, so therefore they will bounce it. So probably up between now and OPEX, but we'll see. If it isn't, it's really bad. So unless we have another weird thing, which we certainly could have with Trump, I think it's going to go up.
Did I tell you how I positioned for this, Jay Fresh?
With your hands on your ankles.
Well, yes, but first I actually opened a position about that.
Yeah, I know what position you opened.
He's shorting Jeppy.
I bought a bunch of Jeppy $30 puts.
Mind you, Jeppy has never been $30. It's a collection of the most resilient stocks in the U.S. stock market, and Dork's shorting it.
Yep.
So, I mean, if we get total economic collapse, it'll print, but otherwise...
You towering
I mean, we don't even need total economic collapse. We just need. I just honestly, so if the super tinfoil list of tinfoil is correct, then that fund is leveraged to the tits.
Why?
Yeah, are you gonna? But here's the question, Dork: are you going to toe ring this into expiry?
I can't assign with the amount of money I have, so no. I would probably sell at some point.
Just hope for the best. Just hope you wake up one morning and the fund is defunct.
Pretty much.
That's the best possible scenario.
That's pretty much the only scenario, is that it's like they get declared that they're closing out the fund.
Yeah. So you need so you need all the worst of things to happen, because it's literally an ETF that's like full of consumer non-durable stocks.
And
like utility companies.
But it's full of short tails on those. Like that's the thing.
Is it? I think it was just ownership. I don't think it's a leverage fund.
It's an equity premium fund with a huge dividend yield.
They have like a whole shitload of equity that they own, and then it's got like they sell like synthetic options on it.
Yeah, it's going to zero. No, I don't really think so. I leveraged exactly $100 into it, and because of the spread, it's already worthless.
Yeah, but isn't that like you're not gonna be able to eat pork chops for like 3 months if this doesn't print for you.
It's $100, and I was like, if this actually happens, then I'll make like 35 grand on it. So
if Dork's still in his long-term spy put, he's killing it right now.
Yeah. Are you?
No, I sold it at $20.
Nah,
It hasn't gone much higher than that. So
okay. Well, good job.
I figured Theta was going to start eating it because it was for March.
Shit, I need more puts. The market's going to crash tomorrow. Dork closed his put.
Greatest trader of our generation right here. I mean, to be fair, the greatest trader of our generation literally blew up, so Dork is even better than that.
Who was that?
Actually, I don't even remember his name. Come on, somebody.
Ray Dalio?
No.
He sold the
not
bottom.
Bill Wang. The dude that shorted GME.
Oh, Citron?
No.
Which one?
Oh, yeah, Gabe Plotkin.
Melvin,
Plotkin?
yeah, Gabe.
Melvin.
Gabe Plotkin. He took a big old Plotkin on his own chest.
Fucking nobody remembers Gabe. Jesus, it's been so long. Steve Cohen's doing great. He's bearish right
Steve
now.
Cohen's killed it, man. Dude,
Yeah.
Steve Cohen has insider traded his way to great wealth.
Yeah. All you need to do, guys, is get a small loan, buy a sports team, and hang out with people who own Fortune 500 companies, and then just use all the information they give you to trade their stock.
Yeah. And then when you get caught and fined, you still made money after the fine.
Didn't they make like a TV show about him, or like a fictional character that's supposed to be him?
I don't know, but if they do make a show about him or like a movie about him, I think Ron Jeremy should play him.
Alright, well, I guarantees I won't watch it. That guy fucking... He just, like, his look just disturbs me. Billions?
As it should.
Billions is about him, Steve
Yeah.
Cohen?
Yeah, that's the show. I think it was like
Gross.
Showtime or something.
Then I want to watch it even less.
Like the
All I
main
ever heard
main
about that
character
show
is like
that,
based on
if
him.
You know, yeah. If you know nothing about the markets, like you can like convince yourself to get immersed in it. Otherwise, it's just a big turnoff.
Yeah, I've only seen one episode and it was bad. They were like, "Yeah, I want you to go long like 80,000 lots on that," and I was just like, "I gotta turn this shit off." And the guy just like hits a button on his computer. It's done.
It's like a big red button.
Yeah.
Right.
He just like taps the enter key and like all of a sudden they're like 10 million deep.
It's one of those big like Fisher Price sized emergency red buttons that you can't miss. It's like go long. It's just like a label on it that says 80,000 lots. Like one of those little like like the little handheld labeling machines where you just like print out a label. You stick like it's just like crooked and someone like some intern put 80,000
put on
the
it.
button. Just like that's the 80,000 lot button.
I heard it was like a great show if you want to watch Paul Giamatti get dominated.
Ew.
That's the best.
Like a short hedge fund guy.
That's the best review I've ever heard.
They really do to make a
Paul Giamatti.
Didn't Paul Giamatti do a miniseries on John Adams?
I haven't probably.
I actually love Paul Giamatti.
He's a great actor.
But what they really need to come out with is a show about day traders just getting absolutely hosed by the market. like we're like the guy's like, hey, check this out. Look, the instant I buy a call, the stock goes down and I lose all my money. We can game this, and they start like trying to figure out how to like buy options to like have cascading profits off of this one dude just buying a call and the market going down.
Now I'm just thinking about Hungry Like a Wolf. Oh my god, Lit Spaceman posted it.
That's from Big Fat Liar.
Yeah.
He blew himself.
The pickle jar is gonna be on TV. Just like a reality TV show about day traders and their lives. Just like hiding all their losses from their wives.
So I'm gonna be sitting in front of a computer screen like, hey Gherk, I'm gonna buy this. You're like, you're being a fucking idiot. Don't do it. I'm like, no, I'm gonna buy it. You're like, you seriously look. You start pointing at things like, I bought it. Wait, Gherk, why'd you let me buy this? Just losing shit tons of money.
Shh, my wife's here. Don't talk about my losses.
I think my kids are listening to T-Pain right now. I'm very confused.
Are they listening, like, which T-Pain song?
I don't know. I don't recognize the song. It just sounds like T-Pain.
I mean, everyone sounds like T-Pain when they have auto-tune.
True.
No, but it sounds like T-Pain.
Yeah. Maybe T-Pain live streams on Twitch, apparently.
Are there any more questions? That's what I want to know. Besides questions about T-Pain.
I agree, only Jesus. T-Pain does actually have a good voice under the auto-tune, which is just weird that he does it, but you can tell it's different.
Yeah, he's actually a pretty good singer. Do you have the expected move for tomorrow already? Yeah.
Yeah, we know what the market's going to do every second of the day. We just don't sell you that data.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
no, I don't even understand the question.
He's just asking for the SPX expected move for tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's there.
It's 199.
Okay, thank goodness it's there. Don't freak me out like that.
Oof. Let's go to Seeking Alpha and read the available paragraph before the paywall.
Mr. Poopy Pants, if we've learned anything over the last 2 years, it's just the AI singularity doesn't fucking exist.
Does the TQQQ indicator tell you to buy puts yet or calls? No. Also, this is the most bearish it's been. This is more bearish than it was back in August, like July, August.
Oh fuck! Look at that. I totally forgot about that indicator, dude.
Dude, this indicator is the best. Like 100% accurate short long TQQQ.
Fuck.
Do you need me to send you the code again so you can trade it?
Oh, I might actually make money if I do that.
I know you're holding all puts for Nvidia. How low do you think it will go? Lower than 95? I bought 60 puts.
$60 puts or 60 quantity puts?
I have
Big
60.
difference.
They're $60 puts. The quantity is
strike. Okay.
The quantity is
60?
No. It's
Oh my god! You sick bastard!
I closed some, okay? I only needed to go down more. I don't know. I'll probably close more out under 100. But
you think Nvidia's going to 100 in the next like 3 weeks? Or
I just needed to go to
weeks?
100 in the next year.
Oh, good
Yeah,
lord!
eventually it's going to go back to 10. Actually, this is an interesting thing. I think I mentioned this on one of the Sunday streams. I don't even remember anymore. My whole life's a blur at this point. But yeah, Nvidia is once again linked to crypto. Now that Bitcoin is so high, all these crypto miners are like, "What are we going to do with all this money?" They're like, "Let's just get into AI, because if times are good, we can mine shit, and if times are bad, we can sell AI compute," I guess, is the thinking. And I've already found like $200 million worth of a combination of already
Look
delivered
at that.
Blackwells and Blackwells to be delivered. And that was just like a handful of public crypto or Bitcoin mining companies. So, yeah. So Nvidia is now linked to Bitcoin. So if the market crashes or the market struggles and leverage goes down, Bitcoin's going to go down because Bitcoin is just a leveraged sentiment instrument. It has nothing to do as a store of value. Then I think Nvidia will suffer too.
Probably.
Me
I
too. I
think
don't know.
Nvidia back to
But they're
What
all buying
idiot would
Blackwells.
use Blackwell to mine BTC? They think
but
it's better.
You can go and look at their public, like their public earnings statements. Like they're buying Blackwells.
There is no quantum computing yet. This is the next thing we're going to have to deal with, by the way. Bubble 2.
Quantum.
We already bubbled quantum. You can't bubble a bubble.
We're
You
going to
can't
bubble
No,
it.
it's a double bubble, not a triple bubble. All right.
Bubble.
Second bubble is
It's a
is better
bubble
than
bubble.
first, all right.
JFresh is going to have to
badder,
spend the
bubbler.
next year on Twitter explaining why the market's overpriced because quantum computing's not real yet.
Oh, fuck me.
Welcome to hell.
It really
Yeah, man,
is
this is
hell.
great.
Yeah,
You know,
Microsoft and Amazon are both releasing their own quantum chips.
Great. Cool. What does it do besides ruin all cybersecurity?
It
If
doesn't.
it
There's
just
no
does
other
linear
application.
algebra,
It doesn't even do that.
No,
if
it doesn't.
if it can do,
doesn't
if
do.
it can,
No,
It
doesn't
just
do any of that
pretends
shit.
to have a transitive state.
look, I just want linear algebra done on a quantum chip because it'll be faster.
That's not what it does.
Somebody register quantumstrike.app.
It's major quantum milestones. I'm so angry at the media for allowing like these big monopolies to just take shits on all of our chests, and while they're doing it, the media is just like, "Oh, look how great! Look how well formed that shit is," as it's extruding onto your chest. It's so wonderful.
Sniff it.
Like, yeah, it smells like the nutty aroma. Like, can we just be like, I want one person to get in front of a CEO and be like, "What the fuck are you doing? What is this? What does this do? Like, what are real problems that real people have? How does this solve one of them?" Like, okay, you think it's cool, great, but what?
Wait,
what does
hold
it
on.
fucking do?
If it crashes Bitcoin, it's worth it. Because the only people I want to see punished more than people investing billions of dollars into AI are the people who spend their last dollar buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What fallacy did I use to defend my fallacy?
What?
Hold on, I need JFresh to explain to me how quantum computers don't compute is what you're saying?
No,
I'm
they
trying
can.
to understand.
So the point of quantum computing is that they're degenerate, so they exist in a bunch of different states at the same time. So the
Right.
idea is that like if you're trying to test states, so like
Isn't it
it's
just
basically
1
like,
0 and 1 and 0?
well, okay. I think a way to think about it that is a good enough analogy is imagine that there is a lock and you don't have the key, but you have a thing that can try a bunch of different key shapes, right? And conventional computing, you have to try each key one at a time. So you put a key in, doesn't work, take it out. Put a key in, doesn't work, take it out. With quantum computing, you basically have your special quantum key and you put it in and it tries all of the key shapes at once. And so one of them will work.
Right.
Nice.
So it
And
saves a lot
that's
of
what
time in that in that respect.
It's time
But
to take Gammastrike out of the cloud and put it all in an air-gapped server in Dork's basement.
No, it's not the cloud; it's
well,
the Bose-Einstein
poopy pants. But
condensate.
that's the thing. It's not necessarily doing math good. It's just trying to. It's trying to link an input and an output good or well.
Yeah.
Right. So in that sense, so like okay, so you think about like another problem is if you have a map and you have a million ways to go from point A and point B, which way is the shortest? But we're already pretty good at solving that, right? I mean, we're clever enough that we can find tractable assumptions to get to a good enough solution that nobody gives a fuck, right? So it's like literally the only thing right now that quantum computing could solve is just hacking really long hashes.
Sounds like I
So
should try to shoehorn this into an LLM.
well, it's like the
No,
only thing that
Dork, you
quantum
need
can
you
do
need
is
to
just
you need to shoehorn it into cracking a bunch of Bitcoin, stealing it, selling it before Bitcoin tanks.
the only
And
thing
then
quantum can do
incorporate
is
the
break
LLM.
shit.
Yeah, then build an LLM and sell it.
So if you think that breaking shit is a long opportunity, sure, go for it. I don't know.
Well, you say breaking shit, but like I could see it being powerful for like numerical methods.
Isn't there like a theory
okay,
that there
so
are
all
like
right,
no
so
secrets to find?
I don't know, but okay, so like let's say you have a huge array of linear equations you have to solve. And it's so big, you can't just invert the matrix and like get the solution. You don't have enough memory on Earth to do it. So you have to guess and check and iterate. Then sure, I guess you could come up with a computer that could guess all the guesses and find the one that's closest. But that is so many orders of magnitude away from where we are right now. It's basically like AI. Like you might as well talk about AI, like artificial general intelligence being right around the like we're as far away from artificial general intelligence as we are away from quantum systems that are going to compute these large scale linear equations that we cannot compute already.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is it's 20 years out, just like it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was just thinking the other day, I was like, I remember it was something, it had to be like 8 years ago. Maybe it was 6 years ago. I remember it was one of the big government contractors. I think it was, shit. It wasn't Boeing. It was, I don't remember, but one of them like literally claimed that they had like developed laboratory fusion, like just like in a lab scale thing. Like they made this big announcement and like hit the news, and then just like they never followed up, and obviously they didn't have it.
Good old
Oh
fusion.
shit, Nietzsche, and here's Nietzsche telling me to do fusion. Yeah, that's a fun one too.
Fucking fusion, dude. I want it so bad, but fuck.
Do you want it really bad if China gets it first?
I mean, I won't have to. I won't have to at that point.
I think if we actually achieve fusion, I mean, pretty much the social contract would completely dissolve because the
Yes.
conditions would change so dramatically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Unlimited energy for all of society would change the entire geopolitical landscape.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, to be fair, I think we're probably closer to nuclear fusion than we are to AGI or quantum computers that can do shit of value. And to be fair, Microsoft is doing some cool science in quantum compute. They're actually doing some cool shit.
All those companies do. Like
It's
they all
just
have crazy
really
stock picks.
hard. It's really hard to just enjoy the scientific value of what they're doing because you know that they're just like hyping the fuck out of it and just perverting it, but if you ignore all of that perversion that is built on top of it, there's some good science that's being done there, and it's cool. It's cool shit.
Yeah. I mean, there's like Amazon has like a whole research division that's like looking into crazy shit.
Yeah, Amazon's research division is say we're doing all this shit and then just hire a bunch of Indians to pretend to do it. $2 an hour.
That's some crazy shit to research.
The funniest part about what I just said was it's true.
I mean, all of them are like that, though.
I mean, to an extent they are. I mean, this is so far off the trail of office hours, we should probably just cut the mic. But yeah, like there were multiple times, like within the last year and a half or so, where Microsoft was like, we're doing a big AI push in India. And I'm just like, I know what that's for. That's so that you can have like the Indian slum kids be the ones to tag all of like the murder
child porn.
Yeah. Like, oh, there's the murderer and there's the woman and she's dead. There's her head and there's the penis.
I will flag this.
We get the Indian kids to do that. That's beneath us. That's like all those pushes. Like, we're gonna bring AI to these third world countries. Like, yeah, they're gonna be not screening the child murder porn. They're not screening it. They are annotating it.
Yes.
For the model, for ingestion into the model. Because we don't throw that data away. That's good data. You still got meat on that bone. There might not be any more life in that child, but there's meat on that bone.
Just like this image of like an ice cream cone has like just a hint of seed of child murder porn.
Jesus Christ. All right, enough, you two.
Too far? Or not far enough?
It's wildly disturbing that somebody had to watch a bunch of child murder porn to build ChatGPT. But I don't want to think about it a lot.
It's weird as shit that they did that. But you know what? I mean, from our own research, we know that ChatGPT has clearly trained on a lot of massive, like
dicks?
demonically sized, veiny dicks.
Yeah, it only understands. It only understands the largest of dicks.
Yeah, you can't. I actually tried before it blocked all of my attempts, like to get it to conjure up penises. And we have all that data's here for new folks. It's here in the pickle jar. Hundreds and hundreds of pictures that have been documented. It was extremely difficult to get them to create a soft, small penis. Like, like you think like Statue of David, like he's packing a pea shooter.
You just wanted one like yours?
Fine. Yeah. I was like, where's the representation in the AI models for my body?
For the modest shriveled peen, yes. I agree.
I mean, I still have to walk through Target and I see like all these mannequins of fat women. I'm like, great representation of fat women, but all the men are still like fucking ripped as hell. I'm like, I'm gonna lose my wife to one of these Target mannequins. Where's the fat men mannequins? Where are those?
They're in the dressing room trying on the clothes.
I just buy them and try them on at home, and if they don't fit, I'm like, fuck it, it's $20.
You just throw in the trash instead of returning them. They come with a larger size.
Jesus.
That's awesome.
They all took Ozempic. Yeah, you just gotta get some Ozempic, man. You don't even need to work out anymore. Poor people are doing it.
Doesn't that shit make you blind?
No. Probably not.
No, I think it just makes you deaf.
Like, it's still not as bad as being fat. From a health perspective.
All right. I saw the South Park episode on it. I want to go to an Ozempic party.
Is that a thing?
According to South Park. I know it was a joke. Like they had a bunch of Ozempic parties as like a drug party. Or, like they all like got a stash of Ozempic and they could all like take it together.
What would be a good stock to
And then they
understand the
just like
gamma
look at the
curve
definition
more
of their
clearly?
apps.
Wait, we got a real question. Hold on.
Oh, God damn it. It's 10 o'clock. How dare you have a real question? We just talked about...
What would be a really good stock to understand the gamma curve a bit more clearly? Things like Tesla, Nvidia, SPX, SPXW, Apple, yeah.
That's a good one. I love Apple as a stock, like for education.
It's just a great stock for options, like for beginners.
Like
everyone's always like, oh, everyone always says like trade Ford, but I would tell people like trade Apple. Apple is just, its dips are bought. It's super forgiving. The premiums are never great, but it's very easy to build like profitable strategies on.
Boring strategies.
Profitable, boring strategies, but profitable.
Yeah.
F is easy to wheel and cheap. Not with tariffs. It's not easy to wheel.
I thought he delayed the tariffs on cars.
He did, yeah. Again, makes it not easy to wheel.
Right.
Fucking changes his opinion every day on it.
Yeah. Yeah, did you read the docs on Game Curve? Have I not explained that well enough?
Probably not.
Is there an opportunity there for me to do more?
Educate more.
If you go to our homepage and click on documentation, it's there.
Yeah.
If you're logged in and you want to go to the documentation, it's in like the user menu, the user drop-down menu on the right-hand side. There's a link to the documentation there as well.
We got the docs.
So.
We have docs. They're obviously always a work in progress.
Oh, Bert Stew's sending us to bed.
Good night, Bert.
You can't tell me what to do.
We're gonna do this extra long now.
No, we're not.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm over it. Yep.
Wait,
Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. I think we've run out of reasonable questions. Next week we'll be adding the Gex and Dex feature to the base and premium subscriptions, so you guys will have something else to ask questions about. Hopefully we get that out to you guys by like Tuesday or Wednesday this coming week.
Why are you keeping me completely out of the loop of all of these features you're dropping? It makes it very hard for me to explain them.
Oh, what do you need to explain? It's a thing that sorts Dex and Gex.
Oh, it's a filter.
Yeah. We're not no. It's not like a big feature or anything. Me and Nuke built it in like 3 hours.
You heard it here first, guys. It's not a big feature. Don't worry about it.
Well, from a programmatic standpoint, it was easy to.
I think it's a really cool feature, but it's very straightforward.
I get it.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of data, and I know people want ways to search it and evaluate it quickly and look for opportunities.
How can one make $400 a day as a beginner? Don't try to do that. You'll lose everything you have.
$400 a day, that is what, $50 an hour?
And you think you'll just lose your money, but you'll lose more than that. Start with paper trading. If you're a beginner, begin with paper trading. If you've already started using real money, go back to paper trading. You still suck.
Yeah, you're better off doing VU and chill, ironically enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to practice a lot. You need to define a strategy. You need to replicate that strategy in several different market conditions. And then and only then, when that is consistently profitable in a practice arena, should you attempt to trade real capital.
Yeah, YOLO.
Yeah, YOLO. Exactly.
HELOC, credit card, cash advance, the whole lot. Go for it. The sky is the limit. Lambos your food.
I remember when all this started, and I thought people could like responsibly manage their own risk, and I was like, "Fucking GME at 300, let's go!" And Now I just like shut people down when they're like, "Hey man, I want to learn this and try this." I'm like, "Yeah, you're going to lose your entire life, your wife, possibly your car and house." The public has taught me so much.
Well, Ped, you never know. You focus on yourself. Once you start thinking about like what other people are doing, that's when you're just like you get the Joneses in you, and you start making stupid decisions.
My son did well in paper trading, but didn't translate to real trading. That's because there's a psychological element that you then have to overcome as you move to real trading. It's very different trading real money versus fake money. You have a lot of confidence in your positions when you're trading fake money because you don't have to worry about the implications of losing your money.
Yep.
Yeah.
It
So
starts to turn from like
people
like a strategy
bragging on
game
the
into, like,
stream
It's funny.
about
It's
making 5-6 figures amounts or larpers. No, there's people in the pickle jar that are like, these people have been practicing for like 4 years now. Like a lot of these
Or
people have been
longer.
here for, or
well,
longer, and they've been here since
they
like the
may-
beginning of the stream, and it's
my
taken
point
them.
was that like, yeah, but my point is that it doesn't matter whether they're larpers or not for you, because their outcomes have nothing to do with your outcomes.
Yeah, that's true.
So just
So
don't
yeah,
think
I
about
mean, it's
that,
like Wall
because
Street
all they're
bets.
gonna
Whether people
do
are
is just
telling the
poison your
truth or
thinking.
lying, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's like 90% of the posts on Wall Street Bets are like probably like 99% of them are like someone just going in and editing their brokerage account and being like, "Oh man, look at this massive look at the $5 million I made last month."
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of that's just for karma. It's just bait and bullshit.
Yeah, I bet
Or
$100
it's
might be going to
real,
zero.
and then they lever up the next position as much, and they lose it all, and you never hear
Yeah.
from them again.
Gah.
Yep.
Doing this
Good.
sustainably is like the easiest, hardest job you'll ever have.
Yep.
Well, Courtney, we have the documentation for you.
Yes, we do. Gammastrike.com/docs.
I'm pretty sure she's like got a beta subscription. Weren't you a pigeon
Get
whale?
on those docs.
She just trades equities.
No? Oh, okay, never mind. I thought you were a pigeon whale.
Well, if you want to learn how the options market affects your equities buying and selling and other stuff, I mean, the docs are there.
Yeah.
Or
And
don't.
they'll help you
Just
out.
trade equities. If equities work, just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Am I shilling the product right? Am I doing it right?
Well, you could use Gammastrike to trade equities. You don't need it for just options.
Yeah, I guess.
You
It's true.
can
That's
you can
true.
buy
You could
you can
use
buy shares of SPY at the Gamma flip point, right? Like it's the same shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can,
There's
you
less
can do
leverage.
shit, like
Courtney,
Yeah.
the website's open. Anybody can sign up.
Yeah, you can
We
just go to the
haven't started
website
marketing it yet.
here. Yeah, it's just like a soft launch to pickle jar people currently. Nope, god damn it, Wolfie! Wolfie fucking fired that off.
We have a few subscribers that aren't from the pickle jar too, though, which is fun.
We do talking to those people has been kind of interesting. I've been keeping in touch with like the couple that reached out, and it's kind of crazy because like their like opinions are different, but also very similar. They all seem to be liking it a lot. So
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
please tell us. Like, if you're not happy, now's the time to tell us. I mean, if you want us to be successful, you have to shit on us now, because the longer you wait, the harder it is for us to fix a problem that is.
Are any of those people my referrals? I have no idea. We don't track that shit. But no, I wouldn't know, honestly.
Code need to.
It's Nugget. That's
one person I know of that signed up.
Your referral
Like
code is DZNT.
DZNT ass. One of the people signed up because they heard about it from a person in another Discord. And then one of them just like ran across the stream and signed up like after watching it on the intraday.
Yeah.
Well, those are the two
we'll
people
start
that I've talked
shilling it
to that weren't
eventually.
like part of the community that signed up.
But we're always just like, it's not ready yet. We need more. It's not ready yet. We need more. So
His name was
It's
J
just
Roll.
a cycle.
Fortunately, we've built something that J Roll can never replicate because he's an actual moron.
he actually died in Israel.
Ugh.
A bomb.
He's one of the hostages.
Yeah, a missile actually hit his apartment while he was vacationing there.
What's up, Courtney?
Yeah, it's real.
Israel,
Not-
yeah.
Not fake, is real.
Yeah, we can take a question from a newcomer.
Courtney's
Like
been
the
around
first thing?
forever.
Yeah, okay.
She was back around in like the GME and BBBY days. God, I remember all these people. It's disturbing.
Ooh. How does decay work when you're playing NVDX? Or maybe she said S. That would make more sense. Did you say S?
Oh, are you talking about like beta decay on leveraged products? Like SQQQ, TQQQ. Oh, okay. So basically part of the leverage of the fund is there's a constant decay of volatility in the underlying basket of things that the fund owns. And so over time, that volatility decays the price of the asset. So it'll like they'll usually reverse split. Their value will go up a bunch, and then from there on out, the value declines, and that's why like they're not recommended to be held for a long-term period. You're only supposed to hold them for short periods of time, like as like a hedging instrument, essentially. Cool data, but I wish I could trust it.
Oh shit! Who said
Wow,
that?
Kiko. I think that's just because Kiko thinks like the market makers are like running around the market lying about the data.
Oh no!
And thinks JD Vance is hot. So yeah, probably no more than a few weeks, like 30 to 45 days. Do you have a legitimate reason for thinking you can't trust the data?
Yeah, because we'll fix it.
Yeah.
Or we'll explain it.
I had to take a
Either
phone
we'll
call. What's
explain
the
it
question with
or
the
we'll
data?
fix it.
What's the problem with the data?
I don't know.
Oh,
Which
So I'm
one
trying
was the
to.
bug email found? Is that the one from this morning?
Missing puts from last night. That was the morning OI reports. They're not missing. They're there. If you go look at the volume, they're there.
Yeah, there's something going on with the morning OI. We're looking into it.
Gamma Max,
14
other
gigs
things.
from your account.
Oh yeah, when's the Gamma Max fix getting pushed? Because we have that already, right?
It's in
Yeah,
the-
well, this is all going to be part of just a big overhaul to our systems.
Okay.
So it's a big old beast, but it's on its way through the testing pipelines as we speak. So
it's pretty close. Yeah.
Yep. So we're right around the corner from having updated data and all that fun stuff. The systems, the maxes are a little better. The data's just a little better overall.
Yeah, there's a lot of edge cases with options data, and we're trimming them as we run into them, but new ones can pop up literally all the time. And sometimes, it's just
pop up. They always pop up when something big happens. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Yep.
All the edge cases show up when something big happens. It's like a big important day. But every time one comes up, we stomp it out, and hopefully we'll run out of edge cases to have to manage. But there are I mean, in the options market, there are like upstream data issues that occur. I mean, there are issues with SIBO and Opera reports. They're not always complete.
Yeah, so just so people know, it's probably TMI, but here you go. Opera, they publish all of the trades throughout the day. CBOE is just one of the services that will take that data and then provide it to you either through an API. They take that trade data and store it and aggregate it and then massage it and then provide it.
Well,
as feature tape.
SIBO also publishes their own reports because all CBOE index contracts only are allowed to trade on their exchanges.
Yeah.
So
Yes, that's true as well. But the ground source of truth is the Opera trade feed. We are doing everything we can to get stuff and derive our own things directly from that trade feed.
yeah,
Obviously, it's a big engineering task to do that because there's just so many trades. We're also doing that with stock trades, which is even higher. But that is also in the pipeline so that once it's all worked out, everything that you see on the website is basically being derived from the primary source of the actual trade flow. And then if we go down, then we would go to one of our secondary providers and say, hey, fill in the gaps from when we were down. So when we come back up, there's no gaps. But
It's a
yes,
whole
that is
mess
in the
of shit.
pipeline.
yeah.
It's a
We're
series of
pipeline to
shit.
try to the more our philosophy is the more middlemen we cut out, the fewer edge cases we're going to run into.
Yeah, hopefully we
Yeah.
get to a position where we can produce better data than the exchange itself can produce. And that would be really cool.
Yeah,
but,
I would
but
love
it's
nothing more
it's
than
Yeah,
have
at
an
least all the
opportunity.
derived data that the exchange puts out.
Yeah.
For sure.
When was the next
Obviously, I can't do better
roundtable?
than
Every
trade
Thursday
data 'cause
night at
it's
9 p.m. Oh, Poopy wants to know, what does it mean if gamma is positive to the upside consistently, but delta isn't as consistent? Generally the contracts are shorter dated. Like the out of the money contracts are probably, like, if you go look at sorted by expiration, and click on them, you're looking at KLAC.
Yeah, I don't even know what you mean. I'm kind of.
I think he's saying like the gamma to the upside is fairly consistent. Well, it's kind of consistent, and then the delta is, kind of all over the place. So you have a lot of positive delta, like the 620 and 700 strike, and then it's all negative, but like gamma to the upside is positive. I mean, you just look at the gross. It kind of tells you why it's like that. There's a lot of puts to the upside.
Yeah.
There's a lot of more calls at 700 and 620, but then to the upside of spot, there's a shitload of puts.
Yep.
Those are probably bought right now.
You think? That's a lot of juicy puts to squeeze there.
Yeah, there are. So yeah, if it started to reverse into those puts, that could potentially be an opportunity to catch a squeeze. What is an indicator of options closing? IV was 1, right? And then OI lowering? Yeah, day over day.
Hold on. Let me be very explicit here though. IV gives you an indication of bought or sold. It gives you no indication of open or closed. Just bought, sold.
Yeah.
Open or closed can only be derived from changes in OI.
And that's why we have delta flip points and we have delta neutral, like Greek neutrals and delta and gamma flip, is because Greek neutrals are like those are the source of truth. Those are based on the OI across the entirety of the chain. And that's only published at night, and that's why they only update once a day. And then the flips are like derived based on assumptions made about volume. And so they're, you know, very different in that regard. But
they're very regarded. I'm shilling this right.
But yeah, I mean, OI lowering is how you tell that an options position is closing out. But the other thing to look for, besides OI lowering in advance of OI dropping, is to look at time to expiry on those options. And soon-ish, we may have a tool in the works that'll probably help with that a little bit.
I have tools. People want tools. I have tools. I'm just waiting for all the other
I
tools.
don't.
Dexa,
I am one.
Dexa and Gexa tend to be close approximation from the naive assumption. I mean, yeah, those are telling you like the bot soldness across the chain.
Yeah.
Like they're making a skew adjusted assumption about are more options bought or are more options sold.
Albert is not a tool. I don't understand that. Prince Albert?
I think he's talking about your giant motor.
Oh yeah. No. We worked Albert. We got him worked on. He's been.
Is using GS can be the strategy to utilize, like trying to follow the MM expected move and buying puts or calls, or the MM expects to close the end of day. There are some strategies around understanding like the gamma positioning and where the MM expects, you know, where the MM would prefer to close the end of day that you can explore. But they're kind of like, those are more advanced. And if you're beginning, I mean, that's something that you would want to test extensively. And so until you not only understand the mechanics of what's happening there at the end of the day and understanding the effect of color and charm, as we move into those like last few minutes till expiry, and then understanding that like, we don't always close where the MM wants, but we can close locally where the MM where it would be ideal for the MM. And those two things are not always the same. So I would say definitely try some paper trading. It's something that you can explore. I've found some strategies that work end of day based on, positioning relative to spot and, identifying the most likely prices for us to close at. But volatility is a big factor there. Yeah, so GS is wild for intraday. Like the intuitiveness of it is super fun. I know you don't really shit on, but aside from adding buy-sell indicators, the live stuff is wild. There will never be any buy-sell indicators. They're just wrong, right? Like it's just I don't know why people want them, because they're not always right. I mean, there was like, what was it, yesterday? There was like fucking 5,000 puts bought out of the money. If you went short there, you would have blown up your whole account. We could blame someone else for losing money. Exactly. All right. I think that's, you guys good?
I think so. I think we just got tapped out. A couple last minute good questions, so that was good.
That was cool.
Yeah, there's always next week. I hope if you guys have questions. There are no stupid questions. I might give people shit, but I genuinely enjoyed talking to you all and explaining the stuff to you. So, and if you have the question, I guarantee you somebody else does, and they're not brave enough to ask. So if you're not going to ask it for yourself, ask it for them.
Yep.
Anyway, thank you guys for coming on. As always, I'll let you get back to what's left of the rest of your night. And thank you all guys for joining in and asking questions and keeping these going.
Yeah,
and
right. See you in a few days.
Yeah, see you guys next week. Later.
Later, fellas.
Bye.